process must be resolved before you get the people to go to ballot, right? Because after bringing the people to cast their votes, and then having 4 people sit on a bench to decide that, okay, yes, you may have legally voted for this candidate, but this candidate in the build-up had a fault, and so because of that, your choice no longer matters. It's like a slap on millions of people who would have voted for that candidate. So we need to understand this. What are pre-election matters to end before the election, right? So that after the election, whatever we are dealing with will be around issues of the credibility, transparency of the election itself.
Not how the candidates
not how the candidates emerged. Exactly. Because all of that has to be dealt with before the candidates get to meet with the people.
I get your point, but let's get Luper Asom, our correspondent in Kaduna State. He's joining us now live to give us the situation report at a polling unit in Kaduna State. Hi, Luper.
Good afternoon, Femi.
Good afternoon. Where exactly in Kaduna? Where exactly are you in Kaduna State, and what's going on there? What's the situation?
Well, yes, I'm in Kaduna South local government area where the elections are taking place in 5 polling units in Makera constituency. Remember that on the 28th of November, the appeal court ordered a rerun and nullified the election of the Speaker of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, talking Mr. Liman. So we're here now at Makera constituency. This is polling unit 05 in Banawa local government where this election is taking place. This polling unit has a voter capacity of 750 voters. We also visited polling unit 009 along the Market Road in Banawa State where they also have a voter capacity of over 750. So for now, the process has been peaceful so far. I spoke to agents of political parties who are participating in this election. They all commended the process. They said voting materials arrived early. And I must tell you, the process began as early as 8 a.m. And I must tell you, the turnout has been massive. We also have a substantial deployment of security operatives who are on ground to keep the peace, talking men of the Nigerian Army, the police, even the local vigilante and the Kaduna State Vigilante Service. So the process has been peaceful so far. And this election is taking place in 7 local governments in Kaduna State. In Chukwu local government area, you recall that a lawmaker there died. The lawmaker who won the election in that constituency, he died 3 days after he was inaugurated as a state lawmaker. So that also gave rise to the need for an election in that place. And as we're talking at the moment, I've spoken to people in that place. The elections are going smooth so far. Materials arrived early, and things are just okay at the moment.
Well, Lupe, look back to your right. Is that an operative of the EFCC I see there with a red jacket? To your left? Okay, that will be to your left. No, to your left. Is that an operative of the EFCC?
No. He's not actually. No, he's not. He's not an operative of the EFCC. He's a member of the press, and he's just wearing the jacket of his organization, of his media organization.
Okay,
but I must tell you, security operatives are on ground. I just told.
Okay, well, I was going to ask if we have anti-graft agencies also on ground monitoring to ensure that we do not have issues of vote buying and other kind of malpractice associated with elections. Have you seen any of such?
We have intelligence agencies on ground. I've seen operatives of the DSS. But of course, some of these operatives, because of how sensitive their jobs are, they may be moving about in mufti, trying to fish out these people. So I must tell you that we have security operatives, including intelligence agencies on ground, who are going about trying to make sure the place is safe. I just saw a truck of the Nigerian Army personnel arrive. They have positioned their men in very, very key areas, flashpoints in the state to ensure that the process is smooth. So I think operatives of anti-graft agencies and other intelligence agencies are, of course, on ground to ensure that guidelines are followed and that the elections are conducted, the elections are free and fair.
Well, look, Kaduna State is also one of the states that that has its own peculiar security challenges with banditry, kidnapping for ransom, and some other forms of crime. This particular place you are, is it one of those volatile areas?
No, I'm in Barnawa. Barnawa is in Kaduna South local government. It's actually one of the key places within the town. So for this particular place, we've not had, we don't have a record of violence or all of that. All we have is maybe youths, small talk groups. But of course, this place has actually been quiet. Most of the insecurity we record are in places that are a little bit outskirts of the town. But as I'm talking to you, this place is in the main part of the town. It's part of Kaduna Metropolis. Yes, talking Igabi, talking Giwa, talking Briningwari, but this is Kaduna South. It is located in the metropolis. So
do we have elections holding in those places?
Or violence in areas like this.
Do we have elections holding in those places?
No, we don't have. Elections are not holding in Giwa or elections are not holding in Briningwari, but we have elections holding in Chiku. Of course, I told you the lawmaker who died, and then it gave rise to that election in that place. But it's not where the elections are taking place. Are not actually the outskirts of the town. So the place is relatively safe for now, and we have not had reports of any breakdown of law and order in any of these places for now.
So do you think the security situation now in Chikum, where you said a lawmaker died, and that's why we're having a by-election there, do you think the security situation in that particular local government may impact one way or the other the electoral process in terms of maybe voter turnout and the confidence of the people to come out and feel safe to cast their votes?
Just as you know, the Inspector General of Police made massive deployments across states where these elections are taking place, and Kaduna is no exception. Yesterday, the Commissioner of Police in Kaduna State warned that anyone who would think of trying to disrupt the election process, that they would react and they would actually bring those people to justice. So I must tell you, massive deployments have been made. I came here this morning to see trucks of personnel of the Nigerian Army, personnel of the police, the DSS. They are on ground to ensure the process is smooth. And I must also commend the residents. They have tried their best to conduct themselves in a very orderly manner. So it is not, I don't think there's an exception to what is happening in Chukwu. Of course, it is a flashpoint. So troops were deployed to that place. Operatives of the Nigerian police were deployed to that place. And as at this moment, as we speak, no report has been received of a breakdown of law and order in Chukwu local government. So the expectation is that the process will be smooth, and personnel have been deployed to that place to ensure that the whole process is smooth and it is hitch-free. So for now, you can take my word that security have been deployed to that place, and there's relative calm across the polity.
I'll definitely take your word, Lupe. Thank you so much, Lupe Asom, reporting from Kaduna South local government. Well, go ahead and do your thing, Lupe. Well, let's also cross over to Lagos State, where Sarah Ayeku is standing by in Surulere. Hi, Sarah.
Of course, Femi, it's a beautiful day in Surulere. Just around us, you see that there is a bit of restriction around this area. I'm at Ogunlano Drive, just by Itire in Surulere, one of the places where the wards, some wards, I'm talking about the 258 wards that we're expecting elections to hold today, you can see that there are two wards, there are two polling units over here, polling unit 044 over here, and what we've seen so far is we've seen voters come in, since voting and accreditation is simultaneous, is at the same time, we've seen voters come in, be accredited, and then vote at the same time. We've also seen a flurry of activities. We saw earlier some EFCC officials going around and doing their own job by monitoring if there is some sort of vote buying at these polling units. So we're expecting to see about 121,000 voters go to the polls today to elect and fill the seat of the Surulere 1 federal constituency.
So how has it been? Has it been a busy time for the electoral officers around there? Because from what I see behind you, it appears those white chairs are empty.
Of course, it looks really empty, particularly if you go to some particular polling units. But as at the time election starts, voting started by at about 8:30 a.m. this morning, we saw a number of voters flock to the various polling units. But now this is a little over 12 o'clock, and so you know that the activities would have reduced. This is just one constituency we're talking about. No matter how strategic Surulere is to Lagos, we would definitely see these low numbers at various polling units. But earlier we spoke with the Chief of Staff, which is Femi Gbajabiamila, who is the man that vacated the seat and the reason why we're having this election today. He had said that the reason why we're seeing some low numbers is because people will come out in year ones and year twos to vote, because the election is now pretty seamless. If you can get accredited in your various polling unit and just vote simultaneously, you're good to go. You can just go home and wait for INEC officials to conclude the event by 2 p.m. and then read the results later on. So we're expecting, it's normal to see this kind of number in these polling units, particularly empty chairs, and you see that INEC ad hoc staff are waiting, for voters to come out till the 2 p.m. End time. And so what we're seeing also is that security operatives have flocked around all of the polling units. That is 258 polling units. That's in all of the 8 wards, 6 wards rather, that are in Surulere 1 federal constituency. And when I spoke with the police public relations officer earlier, he said that for this election they deployed 6,000 security personnel. So I'm talking from all of the other paramilitary agencies. So they deployed 6,000 of them to these various polling units. That's 258 polling units that are up for this election.
Well, Sarah, Surulere is one of the busy business and residential districts on the mainland of Lagos State. When I spoke with Bimbo Agbebi earlier, she talked about a non-compliance with the restrictions imposed by the state police, by the police command in Lagos State. That's the vehicular restrictions. But you are saying that that restriction is being enforced right there where you are. How has it impacted the socio-economic activity around?
So for this particular area, where you'd see a lot of activities, particularly vehicular activities, are those areas where the police had said that if you take through Funshaw Williams, you have free passage. But if you're going into the inner roads, that's where you see the restriction of movement. So from this street now, you see that a lot of people are trekking down to the main bus stops just to get a bus out to their destinations. You see that some roads have been barricaded, particularly the inner roads where elections are holding. You see that the streets are empty. People are trekking, walking the distance to their homes. And you see that the police have barricaded this road. So you can't even gain access to this road. And some other roads, some other inner roads also have been barricaded by the police. But most of the roads where you see a flurry of activities, particularly economic activities and vehicular movement, are those roads where the police had said that there is free passage because they are adjoining streets to the major roads in Surulere. And so what we've seen is that this number, the flurry of activities that we're seeing around are just some persons selling food, the food vendors, those ones really are out on the streets. But for most of the business areas, you do not see the stores being open, but it's just a few food vendors that we see around this area. That's Ogunlano Drive here in Surulere.
Well, for the areas where there are no restrictions on vehicular movement, what's the traffic situation like? Lagos is known for traffic congestion. Has this restriction caused a tailback in other parts of Surulere and indeed the mainland?
All right, let me just put this down a bit so that I can use my hands properly. So what we see in the major areas, that's the busy areas in Surulere, is that, a lot of persons I talked about today, people were scared that the whole of Lagos would be shut down just because one federal constituency was going to be doing election. But thankfully, the police had cleared that area to say that it's just these inner roads where elections are holding would experience that restriction of movement. And that's what we're seeing play out in some of these inner roads. Particularly, if you go to the stadium area, the traffic, people are not allowed into Surulere, so you can still go through the stadium area to access the other areas on the mainland. So it's pretty free for those who, I'm very sure Lagosians would definitely avoid areas where they know they'll find blocks, police blocks at these areas. So what we're seeing so far is that the voters that we spoke with earlier had also said that the election for them is peaceful and smooth. And of course, the resident electoral commissioner had said that they are ready and they are hoping that voters will come out in their numbers to vote. We see that some voters are just going to some polling units now. So people are just taking their time because they know INEC officials will be here until 2 p.m. when it's close time.
All right, then, Sarah Ayeku, thank you so much for your time. We'll come back to you to get further updates. Well, back to the studio now. I still have Ezewagu and Solomon Adoga. Earlier, we spoke with our correspondent in Enugu State, and he talked about political party agents obstructing INEC officials from doing their job. The usual culprits are at it again.
No, I think in that particular case, if they are party agents, then they have responsibility to call attention to infractions. But they have no right to interfere with the process, but they can call attention.
What the resident electoral commission
the first challenge is some of these kind of things that we hear diminish us as a people. That you come to conduct elections and result sheets are missing. And then you are not even talking about that. You are just promising people that the election will go ahead and all that. You are not telling us what happened. Why should? Who is responsible? So we can't, in this particular, the agents are doing what they are expected to do. Because if they do that all through the gamut of the process, we will not have some of the challenges. That the truth is that it is because they abandon their responsibility as party agents. That's why you see some of the shenanigans that. So these ones are vigilant and have been able to call attention, and there has been a remedy.
Okay, but let's try and troubleshoot now. Let's do an analysis. Where could these result sheets have gone? Where could they have gone missing?
That's what I'm saying. We saw that in Kogi, and as we speak, although the audit has not come out, but we need to be. I've been talking about consequence and sanctions because that is what is absent. If you saw the resident elector, he has papered over that. He's now talking about the fact that the election will continue, and he knows the law. What the law, doesn't it tell you that if it is a presiding officer, if it's a supervisor, if it is the electoral officer, we need to be able to, and it is also our responsibility as civil society and the media to put a searchlight in that particular place to find out what happened, because we are always moving on. And that's for me what the challenge is. We hear it, we know that there's an infraction, but immediately all of this is done, we wait for the next election. But somebody stole, somebody removed result sheets that is meant for a particular polling unit, and there is a place in the law. So the first person that should be questioned is the electoral officer who is in charge of that. Who is in charge of the local government itself? Because he is responsible for distribution of those materials. Then when you hold him, he then holds the supervisor who is in charge of the particular registration area. And then now we are not having a lot of ad hoc staff involved in this process. So many of the people who are working in it are actually INEC staff. So we can pin down where all of this
is coming. Well, it's not rocket science. Well, we'll take another short break and we'll return to continue our conversations around the by-elections and court-ordered rerun elections happening across the country. And we also have our correspondents on standby to give us live updates. We'll be back after the break.